Hello. We're given the demand and supply functions as shown on the screen here. And the question is, can we solve for equilibrium price and quantity in terms of pH, PB, PC, and Y? And when we say in terms of, what we're saying here is that I don't want you to put in any values for these variables, but rather find the equilibrium price and quantity in terms of, as a function of those four variables. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that right now. We know that in equilibrium, quantity demanded will be equal to quantity supplied. So I'm just going to put these two functions equal to each other. So we have 171 minus 20p plus 20pb plus 3pc plus 2y equals 178 plus 40p minus 60ph. And now I'm just going to solve for the price, p. So I just want to set all the p on the left-hand side and everything else on the right-hand side of the equality sign, and then go from there. So the first thing we can do is just going to collect all the variables over here. So now I'm going to move it from the left-hand side. So the plus 178 becomes minus 178. And the minus 60ph becomes positive 60ph. And then on the other side we have 40p. And then I move the minus 20p, changing the sign. And we have, plus 20p there, which is of course just 60p. So now I'm just going to go ahead and solve for p. I'm not going to simplify very much at all. So what I want to get here is an expression in price. So obviously I'm going to have 60p, so I'm going to have to divide the right-hand side by 60. 178 minus 178, that's just minus, that's minus 7, sorry. That's minus 7. And then we have plus 20pb plus 3pc plus 2y plus 60ph. I can just leave it like this. Obviously, I could multiply through with 1 divided by 60. And in some ways, that might be make it a little bit easier. But we can also just leave it like this. And then we are sure to not make any mistakes. And then in terms of finding equilibrium quantity, I'm just going to take this p and plug it in. And since there are fewer variables in the supply function, I'm going to plug it into the supply function here. So now we have 40 times p, and again, p is equal to 1 divided by 60 times minus 7 plus 20pb plus 3pc plus 2y plus 60ph. Two brackets there, and then finally minus 60ph. All right, so again, I could simplify, but I'm not going to go ahead. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to go ahead and leave it like this, and then I'm sure to not make any mistakes. So I'm going to go from here to the next question. Okay, so now we're supposed to find the equilibrium price and quantity if pH equals 1.5, PB equals 4, PC equals 3 1/3, and Y equals 12.5. So now it's a simple exercise of just plugging these values in. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. So the equilibrium price will be equal to 1 divided by 60 times minus 7 plus 20, and PB is 4, so 20 times 4. Plus 3 times PC, which is 3 1/3, plus 2 times Y, which is 12.5, and then plus 60 times pH, which is 1.5. Just going to go ahead and put these together. So it's 1 divided by 60, and then we have minus 7 plus 80 plus 10 plus 25 minus and now plus 90. So let me collect all those values again. So 1 divided by 60, and then have minus 7 plus 80. So that's going to use my calculator here. Minus 7 plus 80 plus 10 plus 25 plus 90. That's 198, right? So put 198 there, and of course it's going to divide that by 60 to get price equals 3.3. All right, so this is my equilibrium price given those values for the variables. Now I'm going to find the quantity. I could of course plug that all in, but we already know what P is now, so I'm just going to use that knowledge. So now I get 178 plus 40 times 3.3 is equal to 132 minus 60 times 1.5, so that's 90. And therefore the quantity is equal to 220. And there we have it. Now we have our equilibrium price and quantity given the values for the variables. All right, I'm going to the next screen to solve the last problem. Okay, so here we're asked to find the vertical intercept in a demand and supply framework. The thing we first have to remember is that the demand and supply functions, when we draw it in a demand and supply framework, these are actually inverse, right? So currently we have all the expressions in terms of demand function and supply functions, but now we're going to have to turn that into their inverse form. So let me just first write what the demand function is equal to. So we remember is 171 minus 20p plus 20 pb, but pb is 4, plus 3 times pc, which was 3 1/3, plus 2 times y, which was 12.5. All right, so I get 171 plus 80 plus 10 plus 25 minus 20p. So that's equal to 286 minus 20p. All right, so here we have a demand function. But to draw the diagram, we have to turn it into an inverse demand function, right? So I have to move P to the left-hand side, and therefore I get 286 minus quantity demanded. And of course I have to get P by itself. So 286 divided by 20 minus 1 divided by 20 times quantity demanded. This is equal to, use my calculator, 286 divided by 20, 14.3 minus 0.05 quantity demanded. All right, so we were looking for the intercept. So clearly you can see here that this is the intercept. So the point in this diagram I'm drawing right now, that would be 14.3, and the slope of the demand curve would be negative 0.05. All right, that solves this problem. Thank you very much.